joining us here in August, and because of me, we're a little bit late. I know you're used to seeing this around the 15th, but I took off. I left the country for a little bit.
It was both of us.
Yeah, we're around.
I was busy in July.
You're right. You
Yeah.
did you did a little trip in the Carolinas.
Yes.
Nice.
Much needed. In fact, I'm ready for another one.
Yeah, I'm ready for another one. Yeah, I'm not ready for another one because it's not free to travel.
It's not free to travel, and yeah, your travel costs a lot more than mine did.
It wasn't too bad though. Actually, ours wasn't bad because it was like an a la carte. It was a package deal. So
Nice.
the package deal wasn't too bad. It was the miles and miles of walking that I don't think we can do again. I'm getting older, so
Your calves are looking nice.
yeah. They better be after all that time we put in. So, all right, cool. But now we're getting back into it, into the swing of things.
Sure.
And today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be trying to prep buyers for the fluctuations we're seeing. And we're seeing quite a bit of fluctuation. It's really difficult for us to really prepare our folks because we can see, like from the listing side, we'll see a house that's, got 10 offers on it, and we see a house that's almost the same one get like nothing on it. And it's hard to prepare our buyers for what to like prepare for.
Yeah.
And the same with rates and so forth. They're jumping all over the place. But you had an idea, we talked before we turned the cameras on, ways to help that buyer kind of get themselves in the right frame of mind.
Yeah, so when you talk about different buyers, whether or not they currently have a mortgage, they currently pay rent, or even if they're living at home with their parents and they're trying to purchase their first home, I think it's very important for anyone in those situations to start getting reps of that mortgage payment, because the number itself can sometimes just be daunting, because the expectation is, I want a $2,000 a month mortgage, and I think that will put me at X price range sales price wise. Well, right now with the higher interest rate environment and what sales prices are doing, that's rarely the case. And so we have to recalibrate it with them. I go, okay, if you want a $450,000 house, this is what your mortgage payment's going to be. Mm-hmm. So, after they talk to me and they realize that, okay, their payment range is probably going to be $3,500 a month, they need to get reps making a $3,500 a month mortgage payment.
Yeah.
And if they can do that, maybe that it will allow them to be a little bit more aggressive, or at least understand the market a little bit better. So, for example, you're someone that lives in your parents' basement, you want to buy your next house. So you come to me, we tell you what your rough mortgage payment is going to be on a particular price range. You go home and you start making that payment every month. Either make it to your savings or make it to your parents, and then have that money set aside. So if you do that for 5 or 6 months, you come back and you go, hey, I think I can do this. I've done it for 6 months. I know what I need to do to budget for that. I eliminate X, Y, Z to help budget for it. And you have that money sitting there that will help you with closing costs and down payment and all that. Same with somebody that's going to be selling a house and buying another, right? Your payment, you have your 3% rate just like most people do, and your payment's going from $2,500 a month to $3,800 a month. Okay, let's take that $1,300 delta and put it away for a few months and see what it feels like. Yeah, it is a good idea.
It's a good idea. Put money aside.
So it's all about getting reps, because I think a big concern of mine, at least from a loan officer perspective, especially when somebody has a $0 a month monthly housing expense, no rent, living at home with family, going from zero, we call that payment shock, going from zero to $2,500 a month it's a huge jump. So it's just some advice. But you need to come to us first so that we can tell you
where it's at. Yeah,
exactly, so that you can know how much you need to stock away per month.
And if you're a first-time buyer too, like I know I have spreadsheets and so forth that help you plan, and has like everything from like cable to electric bills and all those things. We can make some pretty solid guesses based on the size of houses you're looking for. Mm-hmm. So we can sit down and I can help you with those budget forms. And of course, there's a bunch of them online too. You Google it and find it. But I also have a few, so we can use that as well.
Yeah.
So if you've never done it before, or you've done it but you haven't done it with that price point, or you've been doing it inconsistently, I can help you with that kind of stuff too. So it's nice. I love helping people in that regard.
The budget side is sort of an extra level of service that we can help you with, and that's with us getting a little bit more personal sometimes. But you need to be realistic with what's going out every month already.
Yeah.
To know what you can eliminate, what you can kind of move from one side to the other. And like you said, those ancillary expenses, like if you're going to be somebody that's going to have cable and internet, and you want 5 different streaming services and all those types of things, and how often do you go out to eat, how often do you travel, things like that, what can you cut out? I think that's an extra level of service that you really can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, we hear that term, house poor. We don't want anybody being house poor. We want to make sure that, like, you want to grab some pizza on a Friday night, that you don't feel guilty about going out and grabbing a beer and some pizza, because you've budgeted, you've planned. We've got all those things done, and we're prepared for those types of things.
But for long-term stability, the house, the home is such a, I mean, it is the sun. Everything revolves around it,
Yeah,
right, in
yeah,
your
yeah.
life. So you have this appreciating asset. I mean, it is bona fide appreciating asset, especially in our area where we have a very stable housing market. We have great jobs. We don't have these huge fluctuations in
Not much,
home
no.
values. We're very steady. 5, 6% appreciation. Case Shiller and FHFA and all these different publications and organizations, they do these appreciation projections, and they're all sort of within that 5 to 7%
Yeah.
range. So if you can eliminate a few things and be able to budget, you're setting yourself up to buy this property. You're comfortable with the payment, and you have this appreciating asset. Well, that'll be a pillar for your family and your life for a good amount of
It's
time.
true, and it's true. And this a personal side is I always find it crazy. So they always throw the stats and data out there, like, oh, a renter doesn't do as good a job, or not as wealthy, and blah blah blah. And I always think to myself, that's got nothing to do with renting or buying. It's the type of person that rents and buys.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a person that's like planning and you're buying the house, of course you're gonna have more wealth. I mean, that's just, I mean,
Yeah.
you're just a better planner than somebody who's kind of flying by the seat of their pants, or renting, or doesn't have a good credit. There's a reason a lot of times people rent, is maybe it's military, maybe they're only being there for a little while,
Yeah.
or maybe they just don't have their stuff together. Maybe their budgets and things aren't as organized. So I hate it when they throw those stats out there, because I don't think it's a reflection of like either renting or buying. I think it's a reflection of the people and their personalities and habits.
That's actually a good point about the renting side. So I think as an industry, we have fallen prey to just we just have this blanket statement that you should buy.
Yeah.
Everyone
Yeah.
should buy.
Not always,
You should always
but
buy a
yeah.
house. There are particular situations that it makes sense to rent.
Yep.
It should always be a temporary thing for the most part. And the end goal eventually in your life is to buy something or buy the next thing. But like you said, someone that's not going to be in the area for very long, or doesn't really know if they're in the job that they're going to be in long term,
Sure.
or I have a family that's relocating to a new state. They did eventually decide to buy a house there. But when I talked to this family member, I said, look, I wouldn't blame you for renting for a year because you know nothing about this area.
It happens.
So maybe get there, get settled in, figure out which towns and neighborhoods you want to be in, and then buy a year from now. So there are particular situations. But if you are in that situation, back to my original point, the end goal should be to buy something. So let's do what we can ahead of time to prepare for it.
And you can even use that rent to help your credit scores. There's ways that you can work on paying that rent and so forth. It's not as easy a way to do it, but I think there's ways you can collaborate with a lender to make sure if you're renting, you're still taking the right steps towards buying, if that's your final goal.
If you're credit challenged, I think that's a good idea. But if you have good credit, I don't think that it's really worth the extra effort to have your rent registered with the bureaus. So I guess it would depend. If we do a consultation for a long-term planning thing, hey, I'm going to rent, but in a year I'd like to buy something, I'll sort of give you an idea of whether or not that's a necessary step to take.
Hey, sounds good. So it's funny. This doesn't feel like an August conversation, though. This feels like a November conversation where we get all those planners and people getting ready, but it just seems like there's so much volatility in some of the market right now in regards to like the inconsistencies that we're trying to nail down. I mean, I've been doing this for 15 years, and it's been hard for me to find the patterns that I usually do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a little bit off. So we feel like we're having this November conversation in August.
Yeah.
It really does.
So in The Big Short, there's this line where the guy, they had shorted mortgage bonds and the value just kept going up, and they're like, what is going on? It's a fraudulent system. And his line was 1 + 2 = fish. It doesn't make sense, right? This market is similar to that, where rates are something that we look at the videos 8-10 months ago, we thought rates would be lower by now.
Yep.
But there's so many factors with the economy and inflation being very, very stubborn that we're just not sure what to do. So instead of talking about that, let's just assume rates are never going to go down again.
Plan for the
And
worst.
let's just focus on what we have right now. A 7 or 7.25% interest rate. What can we do, right? So I get away from those conversations and let's start talking about tactics. And let's talk as a buyer. How can we dig into terms rather than let's just throw $10,000 above appraised value? How can we really maximize this? Okay, what's the seller looking to do? Do they need a rent back? Do they need 30, 60 days? Give it to them for free. All these different sort of contractual items rather than just money.
Yep. No, it's just planning it out. Yep, that's right. And making sure you find the right thing. This is your first time buying a house. Patience. Have some patience. Don't just jump on the first one you see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
But to that point, if you're somebody that has sort of that in your mind that you want to buy something, get in touch with Billy earlier, because who knows how long it's going to take you for that particular property to pop up on the market. So start getting the listings.
Yep. Yeah, we use a system that ties in directly with the MLS. Our YLOPO system isn't like as crappy as the Realtor.coms or the Zillows that like you sometimes get it. I get that all the time. Like, oh, what about this house? Yeah, that sold like 3 weeks ago, and Zillow just hasn't updated it because they're not really good at that. Mm-hmm. Go through our system. It's free. I'm not going to bug you.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of those tactics, let's get together, let's talk about it, and let's get you prepared. And I think what would be great is if you could get those reps in, and then all of a sudden you have this bucket of money that you didn't have before that you can put towards closing costs or down payment. I just think that it's something that anybody that's planning to buy in the next 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, just start doing it now.
And get it ready.
Yeah.
And then I have an extra bucket of money too.
Same goes with a car payment. You want to buy a car, you know that my vehicle has 230,000 miles on it. I know that it's in the plans to probably buy a new car soon. Okay, start making an auto payment to yourself. Every month. It's again, I keep going back to the same sort of buzzword. It's about getting reps.
Yeah. All right, sir. As usual, I appreciate you. So maybe we'll get September's on time.
Yeah, I think vacation season's over. It's a depressing thing, but it is.
Yeah, it's fine. You get out and about, see everything. Enjoy the life.
Yeah, but September, October is something special about it.
October gets busy though. Every weekend in October fills up fast.
Well, my wife wants to go to 16 pumpkin patches in October.
Your wife and all of the wives.
Yeah. Along for the ride. If they have cider and donuts and stuff, I'll go. Yeah.
You see that they started putting pumpkin beer out? I'm like, this is the saddest thing I've ever seen. Pumpkin beer already.
But football, cool weather.
Preseason.
Break out a hoodie maybe. Play a little golf, and
there you go.
And in October there's something we call the leaf roll. There's leaves all over the course, so you can't find your ball. You just say leaf roll and you drop one.
Yeah. I'm in. Let's do it. I'm in. All right, folks. We'll see you again in September, and until then, let us know what questions you have and what topics you want us to cover for next month.
See you guys.